Should I do this episode as Jeff Goldblum? Yes, so I do think, Pieces, yes, the killer on a college campus, right. Like that?
No.
I could just do that the whole time. No, you don't want me to do that?
No, I don't like it.
Now, you don't like it, but it was a good impression, though, right?
That's a good one. That's why I don't like it.
Because it was too much. And,
too good.
Right, and Jeff Goldblum makes you super horny because he does that to all ladies and everybody who likes guys. And so then it would be distracting. That's your problem. Because then you would think you're talking to Jeff Goldblum and you get all excited.
Yeah, and
that
is a big problem for me.
Is Goldblum excitement?
Can't have it. I don't allow it.
And speaking of stuff we don't understand, this movie, the movie, this episode's movie, whatever, the movie we just watched is Pieces. Because I think it's safe to say that it's hard to understand in some parts, right? Particularly the end.
Right? Yeah, this movie, you were really excited for me to watch it.
Yeah, because it's fucking crazy.
Along with some other people.
Oh, other people were excited for you too, like your friends. Right?
Yeah, because I had never seen it. So
right.
I got home last night and was super stoked to start watching it. And man, the opening.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's that movie
was not expecting that.
Right. It's like, do you ever drive like a manual transmission on a car where you have to constantly be adjusting it?
No, I don't. I've never had a driver's license, so no.
Oh, right. Yeah, New York. Jesus Christ. We're just talking about the subway. Why did I not remember? Anyways. Okay, so when you're driving automatic, and I don't like driving automatic transmissions, but you have to, like, you start out in a low gear and go up to high gear. Pieces just starts in the high gear, and they don't care if they're blowing out their transmission or not. And it does... In some parts, the car maybe is breaking down, but they start fucking 100 miles an hour.
I was watching it with my eyes wide open. I don't think I blinked for the first 5 minutes because I was like, "Whoa, whoa!"
Yeah. So a little background on Pieces is it came out in 1982. It's from Spain, but it takes place in Boston, and so. It says in the credits of the movie, it says it was shot in Boston and in Spain. Well, the parts that were shot in Boston were just some establishing shots. Like, they never shot in Boston. The director had never fucking been to America, but then he's making this movie about Boston, and he has Americans in it. But two of the stars, who played two of the main characters, they claimed they didn't know what kind of movie it was. Like, when they thought they were signing up for like a mystery movie.
How?
Well, you think about it, when you're shooting a movie, you're an actor, you're only in the scenes that you're only really there for the scenes that you're in. So
that's true.
They're not there for much of the crazy shit. So I don't think they really put it together.
But they got a script though, right? That they read?
Yeah, but who knows if, maybe they thought like some of that wasn't gonna be shown. It was the script just explaining the background. They're like, they were probably like, oh, so when it says that the movie starts with a child putting together a puzzle of a naked woman and then murdering his mom with an axe, they're just gonna say that, right? They're not gonna show that. That'd be crazy to start a movie that way.
Oh man, when the little kid hit her in the fucking face. With the axe. I was I was shocked, but then I got really happy because he just was super calm afterwards, still putting the puzzle together.
Yeah, with blood all over.
With blood all over him. And I wrote down, I want one of these puzzles that he's playing, one of these nudie puzzles.
Yeah.
I'd never seen a nude puzzle before.
I'm sure they're, but you gotta look in the right places. Probably a sex shop or something, but.
Was that a big thing? Back then?
I don't know, but let's back it up a little bit so people. Yeah. So it starts and it says Boston 1942, and then there's this little kid is in his room doing something. You see he's putting a puzzle together, and he's singing Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, Humpty Dumpty da da da. And then his mom comes in and is like, "Oh, you're so cute," and then sees that he's putting together a puzzle of like a naked lady,
full on naked.
What I wrote down at this point is this is a family of very quick and very strong reactions. Because, like, the mom, as soon as she sees it's a naked lady puzzle, she's like, "Oh my God, you're fucking horrible, you dirty little boy," and all this stuff. And, like, grabs a puzzle and she's going to throw it away or something, right?
Yeah, she was like, "I'm going to kill you like your father, because your father was a nasty perv."
Yeah.
Growing up to be a nasty perv, just like your father.
Yeah, she immediately threatens to kill her child and then sets stuff on fire. It's like, oh my God, like, you talk about from 0 to 100, that not only does the movie start that way, but this is how this family operates, right? Because it's like, there's no escalation. It's just, boom, crazy. Like, as soon as there's a weird problem, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, when she threatens about the puzzle, the kid, when I say the mom reacts strongly, well, the kid does too. Because he... comes back in with a hatchet. Yeah, just a little bit more so. He comes back in with a hatchet and cuts her the fuck up. And then some lady comes over later, like, was it a nanny or something, right?
I guess it was a nanny. I was just going, well, that kid is going to grow up to do some bad things, probably. Yeah.
And what is the mom's problem with Playboy or dirty magazines? Like, did Hugh Hefner kill her parents? Like, why is she so against nudie mags? I mean, obviously, if you think your kid's too young to see that stuff, okay. But, like, she really hates smut, you know?
Well, it was the 40s, so...
Oh, right. Yeah.
It was 1942.
Well, those are pretty good-looking nudie mags for the 40s. I mean, they had naked... Mm-hmm. I don't even know if nudie mags... I mean, Playboy wasn't even out yet. I wonder if they really showed crotch that much. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually looking at a website right now called jigsawgirls.com. You can put together nudie jigsaw puzzles on your computer.
So, that's fun. Can you order real ones? No, it's just it's a website.
Well, that's what I was looking for. I want a puzzle. I want a nudie puzzle, but it keeps you can get them on Etsy apparently.
You can also probably there's companies that will make a picture that you send them on a puzzle. So it'd be really funny if you just sent them like a picture of your dick. Sir, okay, whatever.
Just so your butthole.
Oh God, terrible. God. But
I know what someone's getting for Christmas.
Oh, I'm not giving you my address. Oh shit, you already have it. Hey, pack up, we're moving. Man, so this lady comes up and she's like, "Oh my God!" And you're right. So the boy's hiding in the closet because he's smart, and he's like, "Oh God," you know. Acting like it's his thing, or like acting
mom.
Like, yeah, he's like, "Oh no, my mom," and acting like he's a victim that someone else came in and killed her. And then the cops come, and there's blood everywhere. And then also, he's cut off the mom's head, and it's sitting on top of the dresser.
That was cool.
I wrote, I would totally hire this kid to decorate a haunted house.
Hell yeah, but it's also good. It's like you said, it's at 100, and that's what a great way to start a movie. So when I was told I'm gonna like this, 1,000,000% immediately went, yep.
Yeah, I just knew it's very much your shit, you know.
Yep, scary children, and let's see how they grow up.
So then it just kind of cuts to 40 years later or whatever, and it shows the hands in black gloves opening a box, and there's the puzzle from 40 years ago covered in blood, right?
And her dress.
And her dress and the shoes. Yeah. All this stuff.
It's kind of, this is foreshadowing.
Yeah, just a little bit.
About till now. Yeah.
It's kind of, he's getting his plan ready. Yeah.
I had wrote down, moral of this story is let children play with their porn puzzles.
Yeah, or at least,
She'd still be alive.
yeah, they're still, and all these other soon-to-be victims would still be alive too. But I mean, really, when you think about it, and obviously this movie's not trying to say anything serious about parenting, but I mean, it's like, okay, well, obviously you should not threaten to murder your child. That's just number one rule, I think.
That's a no-no.
Well, actually, it's number two rule. Number one rule is don't murder your child. Number two rule is don't say you're going to murder your child. But, being a parent myself, and my daughter's a teenager now, it's like, if I had caught her or something like that, you don't even get mad. You just be like, whoa, what's this? And then talk about some, like, I don't think you're ready for this. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, what would you do if you found a bunch of porn in her room?
I don't know.
How would you process that?
I'd ask, like, how much is a subscription? But,
Or would you why did you take these from my room?
Yeah, God. I'd be like, honey, it's 2024. You're supposed to have all this shit in a folder on your phone.
Did you did you never find your dad's porn?
No.
I did.
You did. What kind was it?
So it was he loved the heavy metal comics.
Oh no.
Which were super racy and raunchy.
Yeah, super horny.
The one, and I'll never forget one that I read, was like a girl had a guy tied up to a tree and she was fucking him, and then she cuts his dick off, fries it up in a frying pan in front of him, and eats it. No fucking joke.
How old were you when you found this?
I was probably like 8 or 9.
Oh my God.
And I was like, and it's still imprinted in my brain this many years later, because I was like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's crazy. But here's the thing. So I'm the oldest of 6 children. So I didn't ever find my parents' pornography. I found their condoms and like notes they'd written to each other, or like about how bad they wanted to fuck later and stuff like that. So, because that's what they were doing.
So romantic.
It's nice. It's nice that they're like that. And years later, like, so we're talking only 5 years ago, I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm hanging out with them, and I make them each a Jack and Coke. Because I was about to drive home, so I wasn't drinking, but they were like, would you make us each a Jack and Coke? And I'm like, sure. But here's the thing. You and I used to hang out, like Trevor and other people we used to hang out with. So I made a Jack and Coke the way I would have made you and I Jack and Cokes, or me and Trevor Jack and Cokes, for 25, which means 8 fingers of whiskey and like just show it a bottle of Coke. So they were definitely like drunk. And my mom goes to my dad like, hey, want to go have some sex? And Dad goes, I guess. So they're still like that. So it's nice. But yeah, so the way their relationship has gone, it's like, well, they never needed that stuff because they're just always about to do it. So I guess which is nice. It's nice, right? So yeah, it's good. But yeah, well, since I talk about my family, I wanted to bring this story up because so in the movie, at this point in the story, we just see these hands open the box. It's got the bloody shoes, the dress, and the bloody puzzle. And it's like, wow, he didn't even wash that off or anything. They just kept it for bloody for 40 years, right?
And how does he have possession of that shit?
Well, because he didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, but so he was like, can I keep my mom's bloody shit? And they were like, yeah, sure.
I think they mentioned someone that they got it later or something from evidence. I can't remember. But he could be he stole it. But you know what? He probably fucking hid it before the cops came. That's probably what he did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because he's a smart little murderous child. So I was like, wow, it's crazy he kept that with blood on it. And then I remembered, oh, but my family has a similar thing. There's no murders, okay? But before I was born, Grandpa, I can't remember how it started, but my grandpa bought I think my Uncle John and Aunt Marianne, when they got married, my grandpa or someone bought them an electric potato peeler. It's one of those crazy 70s gimmicks that you don't need. It's like you just peel it with a peeler. Like, why does it need to have, why do we need this thing? And so they're like, this is a weird present. And they used it once. And I think they used it while they're still at their folks' house. So I think it's my grandpa who turned it on once and immediately cut his hand really bad. Like, immediately. It's like a scissorsy thing. It's crazy. It's very sharp. and it's powered. It's electric. So, so he immediately cuts himself. Okay. And puts it back in the box. And then when my folks got married a year or two later, one of the presents they opened was the fucking potato peeler with dried blood on it. And so it goes on and on. I mean, when I got married, I got it. Assume when my daughter graduates, I'll probably find it, give it to her. It always gets given
true.
As, huh?
That's not true. This is
absolutely 100% true.
No, I want a picture
the potato peeler.
Of this potato peeler.
I'm sure I can find you one. But I don't even know where it is now.
We need to put it on our website. These are things that people need to see. I need to see
I'll see if I can find a picture of it. I'm not even sure. Because now, for the last 5-10 years, there's several cousins on that side, like 16 of us or something. So people started getting married and stuff, and then some of them got divorced. So I'm not even sure where it is. But it's the potato peeler, and so people get it for their anniversaries. Sometimes it would just be a Christmas present. It would always just fucking show up, and it's like, as soon as someone lifts the lid on the box, it's always like, oh my God, and everybody knows and starts laughing. It's the potato peeler. It's like a family relic,
Oh, wait, okay. We're definitely going to get a lot of comments and questions about this. I have a bajillion.
Okay.
One I am going to ask. So who do you know who exactly decided that this is going to become the family heirloom that gets passed around?
Well, I think whoever it was that regifted it, which I think was my Uncle John, because the thing is like, I get my sense of humor from both sides of my family. My mom's and dad's families are both really, really funny people. Like they're both their parents and most of their siblings. And so they're all about pranks and having a good time. So I think it was my Uncle John probably that regifted it. And I think once it got regifted once, it was like, my mom and dad, as far as I know, were the first people to get it when it was they were the recipients of it the first regifting time. You know what I mean?
Is Uncle John still alive?
Oh yeah, he's very healthy. I gotta ask him.
Please ask him about this because I need to know.
Yeah, well, and my parents will know way more details.
Why it was regifted with blood.
Yeah, I think it was just funny, and so...
It's hilarious.
I think so. Then, John has it. So John has it, gives to my folks, and my dad gets it. He's probably like, all right, motherfuckers, it's on. And then that's what I'm assuming the kind of thought my dad had. Then it's just, ever since then, because that was the time when they were all getting married. They were all in their mid-20s, early 30s. And so, his sister, Sue, I think, got married right after that, or like one of his other sisters. So, boom, 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 boom. And then it, kind of lay dormant for a while. And then, when my grandparents had an anniversary, probably their 25th anniversary, something had popped up, And then, my folks had an anniversary, 10 years or whatever. And then it started popping up again. And, and it just, when different landmarks, or big events, monumental events would happen, there it is. So, but it's just everybody's very jokey and funny. And so, it's one of those things. And it's one of those rare things that's getting more rare because, the older I've gotten, the more I've realized, me coming from a cohesive family background where my parents are still together and we're still on good terms with all of their siblings. We're on good terms with all four of my grandparents. It's like everybody's cool. And I still talk to my siblings. We're all cool still. So it's like I'm realizing more and more how fucking rare that is,
Mm-hmm.
So
I just picture, hey, Timmy's getting married. Go get the potato peeler.
I don't have any relatives that talk like that, but
I would just picture that in my head,
go get it down to the garage. Hey Tessa. Well, there's no Tessa in our family. Hey Tessa, go get the potato peeler. Anyways.
We've been keeping that potato peeler that's got blood all over it.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe it'll be around when we eventually master the technology of cloning and we can bring back Grandpa, So.
Hey!
Donna would be happy about that. Donna, who we mentioned in the Carnival of Souls episode. She was his second wife, so, yeah, or is.
Yeah.
Aww. So, yeah, she'd be like, oh, yeah, let's clone him. Maybe she has it. I don't know. Because they got married. You know what? They might have it because they got married in the 2010 or something, right? So, She might have it. Maybe
Maybe.
Donna knows. Yeah, I got to get
Wow.
in touch. So there's some interesting family history. I just wrote down like, man, this is a good time to tell this crazy ass story. So,
That's crazy.
Right. So we don't know it's a killer yet but it's, somebody awful probably has black glove hands, and they've got they bring out, here's the shoes and the dresses and the puzzle, everything's bloody. And so.
Yeah. And this movie basically stays for me at 100 the whole time.
Yep. Totally.
Because you immediately have, this movie is the opposite from the Burning.
Yeah.
And the sense of, this movie just keeps the kills coming and broad fucking daylight.
Yeah. And the way we get to the first one is like, oh my God. I mean, just going through the timeline here. Okay, you start with this crazy thing of his kid killing his mom. Then you got hands opening this box, everything's bloody. Then you just like smash cut to this like happy college scene, and there's a girl on a skateboard just having a great time. And then there's two guys carrying a mirror across the road. And, you see that all the time in comedies and action movies, like two guys carrying a piece of glass across the road. Oh, someone's definitely going to hit it, But you don't see that in horror movies.
Did she hit it or no?
Yeah, she hits it. So she skateboards into it, and it shatters, and then it cuts to the killer, like the killer's hands again. And it's like, okay, so is the killer getting triggered because of these pieces, because this thing got shattered, or what?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so that, and this is another reason why we want to kind of go in order, because if there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to talk about. But this movie is only things to talk about, like every scene. So she, hits the glass, and then it cuts to like the killer getting ready or something. I think you see him. You don't see the hands grab a chainsaw, I don't think. Not at that point. But then it cuts to this girl, and she's studying out on the campus, on the lawn, right? And so let's just think about this, though. If it's not the same, like even if it is the same girl, why did you show her skateboarding into this mirror? Like, what the fuck is the point of that scene?
That's what I'm saying.
And if it's not the same girl, that's even more like, well, why is that here?
Why is this happening?
Yeah. So either way, it's like, what? But like I said, the guys carrying the glass across the road is something you see in other kinds of movies when there's going to be a car chase or something funny happen. But it's like, what is it? I love it.
The
And
music was kind of funny too. While that was
so
happening.
you watched it in English, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how much you looked up about this. So they shot it in Spain, and Italy and Spain, other European countries too. They don't shoot with synced dialogue. They dub in the dialogue later, even when they're going to have it in their own language. Okay, so there's a Spanish cut that's like a minute and a half longer than this cut. I think it's just a little bit more gore. And so in this one, since a lot of the main characters are actually American and speak American English, it's actually kind of better in the English version, because you hear that, it's actually, when Christopher George talks in this, it's him, right? But the other weird difference is that if you listen to the Spanish version, it's an actual score that somebody made for this movie. If you watch it for the American version, you might have noticed this. It said music by Cam, C-A-M.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. Yeah.
Right. It's a pseudonym for like, did you look up why it says that?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to that.
Okay. It's not a person. It's like 3 or 4 different people. They were just using their samples from different movies. So the score in the American version, is just kind of music from other stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But whoever did it, I mean, they used it well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this girl's like studying out on the lawn, and then you see a guy, like a landscaper, using a chainsaw.
I like the landscaper a lot.
Oh, the big guy? Yeah.
His eyes like half open.
Oh,
most
dude,
of the
yeah.
time.
Paul Smith. Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, we got Paul Smith to talk about, but this first landscaper is not him. It's somebody who has their face covered up with goggles and a hat. And she's like, hey, do you have to do that right now? Because she's trying to study, and there's this fucking chainsaw going off. And then it stops, but then somebody picks up the chainsaw, comes at her, and she's like, oh my God! And they fucking cut her up right there, like you said, in broad daylight. Like, wow.
Yeah, and there's a great, I wrote, whoa, the fountain of blood on the screen with the chainsaw.
Dude,
it was so great.
It is a ridiculous amount of blood. You can tell, like...
Yeah.
You know, because you see the chainsaw going into her, and then it just cuts to this shot of just grass, and then like what looks like a mop bucket full of blood just spills it all over this like the lawn, right? It's like all of her blood came out at once.
Yeah, I bet you there was a person off screen with a bucket full of fake blood that just
totally,
threw it.
just yeah, totally. Because there's another one like that later in the movie where it's just like that's a lot of blood. But I'm all for that kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
And then it cuts to the college.
I had to write it down because it made me laugh. When the girl's like, the most beautiful thing in the world is smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed. Started laughing.
Yeah, it's like, what? Yeah, someone brings up a waterbed and she says that. And I knew that line was coming because the last time I watched this was only like a few months back. And when I got the Blu-ray first, I like to watch things I get right away. And I was like, I took a screenshot of that and posted on Instagram. I'm like, this is amazing. I don't even think I said anything. I was just like, I'm just posting this so people can see it with the subtitles on so you can see what she's saying.
Did you know that waterbeds have been around since like the early 1800s?
Really? They're that old?
Yes.
You always look up facts, but I know. I'm glad you. But this is like rad. Like normally you look up facts about the movie, but now you're dropping some waterbed history. Go for it.
Well, because I was like, that's a random thing, and then because my parents had a waterbed growing up. I don't know if you've ever slept on a waterbed before. It's a quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't
feeling.
think so. Has anyone ever really slept on it? Because how do you fucking sleep on those?
I mean, I thought they were pretty comfy. Once you kind of get used to like the movement, it's pretty relaxing. It's just weird to get in and out of them.
Yeah.
But when she said that, obviously I'd never seen the movie, so I didn't know the foreshadowing of it. But I went. I mean, in the early 80s, there was a big like waterbed craze. So I was looking it up, like, when did
the 70s, like all the horniness and swingers, was it because of that? Because it seems to fit in with that kind of disco sexy kind of style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do remember like a lot of my friends' families like talking about having waterbeds like in the early 80s. So I was like, oh, that must have been when waterbeds were really popular and like came out. But they've been out for a hell of a lot longer.
So they came out 100 years before that is what you're saying?
Yeah, in 1833 by a Scottish physician. What we know as the modern version was invented in 1960. And then it's like became really popular in the 80s. So I was like, oh, that's why she said that. Okay. So it's just like an odd statement.
It is. Well, and I can't remember why someone brings up a waterbed in the first place, but we do see there's a waterbed later. So maybe that's why the guy, whatever. So I want to ask you, I wrote down that throughout this conversation, I want to ask you a few times. I'll ask for the first time right now. At this point in the movie, I haven't really met any characters or anything. Who do you think the killer is?
I immediately said the dean.
When we first meet him, or did you think it was before you even meet the dean?
When he first came on screen and started talking, I was like, it's the dean. It's got to be the dean. I didn't really have any reason to think that. I just was like, well, one, because like he kind of looked like the little boy.
Okay.
Like if he was grown up, because I was thinking, okay, it's 40 years later. That kind of looks like maybe what he would look like 40 years from now. Yeah, so it was a good casting call.
Yeah. Well, and so the dean is played by Edward Purdom, something like that, who is also, he was a British actor that did a million things over there, but, just like several of the other actors in this, had been a big deal in respectable, quote-unquote, respectable productions in the 60s and 70s, and then in the 80s was doing a bunch of weird little genre shit in Europe. And so he's in another of my favorites from this era, slasher, called Don't Open Till Christmas. Have you seen that?
Yeah, what a great one.
That's one where someone's killing the Santa Clauses? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a great
one. Oh, man,
that's a great
So
movie.
he's the cop in that one. He's like the main cop guy. So anyways,
cool.
Shout out to Edward. But we don't. Before we meet him, though, we meet the biology teacher. Oh, excuse me. He's the head of the anatomy department, which is like, that's not a real fucking college department. Like it'd be biology, right? I don't know. Did you go to college? I went briefly.
No. No, I didn't
No,
go.
so we're not college experts. We're not some of those fancy college boys, but so it's right after the girl and her friends are talking about the waterbed. So the anatomy professor comes, and so the girl who said the thing about fucking on a waterbed, who is hot and wearing a tight sweater with her boobs all over the place, right?
Yep.
She goes up to the professor and asks about her chest. Like, where are my pectorals? Isn't that what she says?
She says something like that, but because it seems like all these girls have a crush on this anatomy teacher.
Who, by the way,
is not attractive.
No, and he's got a mustache, and he's dressed in the ugliest 70s bullshit, and I guess that stuff was cool then. We're going to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre next time, by the way, folks listening, and just like that, I'll say here, so men's clothing in the 70s is terrible. Like, it's all fucking ugly, and women's clothing in the 70s still looks good, seeing those things 50 years later here in 2024. Do you agree?
I mean...
Because this lady, the main girl who said the waterbed thing, like, she looks hot. She still looks good. Her clothes look good, right?
I mean, I am a firm believer and will always be that clothing has no gender.
Right.
But when something doesn't look good, it doesn't look good. And not only his clothing, but his hair and his mustache.
Yeah.
He just, and I think it's on purpose. They want you to think he's a creep.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean,
he's probably the one going after these girls because he's a creep. They all love him. They all have a crush on him. So it's got to be him, right?
What is the killer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie, and this is one of the things that it's known for, is like the amount of red herrings in this movie. Like every fucking character is a red herring, right?
Even though I thought it was the dean at first, then I started to doubt myself a little bit because then I was like, oh, maybe it's the college student that's helping the cops.
Kendall.
Maybe it's one of the cops.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the teacher. It was
landscaper. The guards. The gardener guy.
Yeah. I was like, that's too obvious, though.
Right, it's it's pretty great, and it's interesting. We'll get to the killer reveal when we get there, I guess. But the way that if you're paying enough attention, the way that you can first figure out who it is interesting, and it doesn't have to do with the person; it has to do with with their house, because you see the killer's house as the killer's. Every time the killer kills somebody, they eventually cut back to him putting more pieces in the puzzle or doing other things, and you see his house a little bit. And then eventually you see this house again in a different context. It's like, oh, God, they're in the killer's apartment right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, you don't really find... And it's like, oh, shit. So, but yeah, they just hand you so many fucking wrong turns. It's great. It's crazy. And so, yeah, there's this college professor...
They keep doing shots of the shoes?
Yeah.
Right? Of the loafers. So every time we were on any other scene, I kept looking at the shoes and looking for the loafers, but I didn't see any. That.
So we would be a good detective team together because you're checking out shoes. I'm looking at the actual building. I'm like looking at the rooms, right? We can figure some shit out.
Well, I'll talk more about that familiarity later of like, oh, I know where those came from. And we'll talk about that later.
The shoes?
Yeah, because there's significance in it later.
Right.
Later on.
And so the girl gets the guy. She's like, where are my pectoral muscles? Trying to get him to like look at her tits or touch them or acknowledge them in some way. Like, I don't know what the prank was supposed to be there. Right? It's just like, what? Like... What did I write? I wrote like oh yes, the old trying to seduce a teacher with your sweater boobs prank.
Yeah, she's flirting with him.
Totally. And the other thing I wrote, we just discussed this now, but I'm like, everyone here seems weird and guilty. The name of the school should be Red Herring University. Because it's like, it's everywhere. So yeah, I can't remember when they first introduced the gardener, the groundskeeper guy, but you mentioned him earlier. He's a big, burly guy. And that actor's name is Paul L. Smith. And he didn't do a ton, but he's in David Lynch's Dune. He's in the 80s adaptation of Dune. He plays the Beast Rabbit.
That's him.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. And you've probably seen Robert Altman's Popeye, where Robin Williams played Popeye. You ever seen that?
Yeah. Oh my God, that is him.
Paul L. Smith was Bluto. Yeah. Because if you look at this movie, you're like,
my mind is being blown.
Right? But that's about it. He did another movie called Crime Wave, which was a film written by the Coen brothers, but directed by somebody else. Maybe Sam Raimi, actually, yeah. But it's not, I didn't like it. But anyways, he wasn't in many things, and he died when he was only in his 50s. Or no, he died later. But he still showed up in stuff, but not a lot. But anyways, yeah, he was definitely a big presence. And when you see him in this movie, it's like, well, that guy looks exactly like Bluto. Because he does. He looks like Bluto from Popeye. He's got his sleeves rolled up, and he's like snarling, you know.
I thought he looked silly. I was like, why does he keep closing his eye? Like,
yeah, and I don't know if he had... I can't remember if Paul L. Smith actually had an eye problem, or it could be he was literally missing one, you know? But no, you Google him, and there's pictures of him with his eyes normal. So I don't know. but I guess it was an acting choice, because he's always, like, doing this, like, snarly, winky pirate face. And so, yeah, like, one of his eyes is kind of like, I don't know. He's got, like, a Brooklyn accent. He's like, I don't let anybody into that shed, you know? No one else can touch the chainsaw, you know? Like, what? Because we meet, and it's funny, like you said, the red herring's just boom, boom, boom. We meet the professor, then we meet that guy, and then the cops come, and that's when you first see the dean. They're talking to the dean, and
this scene pissed me off, by the way.
What?
You want to know why?
The library, or what? What scene?
No, when the cops are talking to the dean, like, so a student gets decapitated on campus in the middle of the day, and the head is missing. So the dean tells the cops, like, we got to be quiet about this. Like, nobody on campus can know about this, because, you know, things have to keep going. And I went, what the fuck? If I was a dean on campus and that happened, I'd tell everyone to go fucking home.
Yeah.
It's a head missing.
Right. And instead he's like, we're going to say it's a tragic accident. It's like, what fucking accident could that be? A woman is she's lying in a lawn on the grass, studying, like reading a book or whatever. And then she gets chopped into pieces with a chainsaw and her head's missing. What accident is this? Did a crate of chainsaws get dropped from a plane? Like, what? Like, what happened?
She must have walked her own head through the chainsaw blade. Because the douchebag cops, which I wrote down, made a statement saying, well, what kind of girl was she? Did she run around with the guys? I wrote, fuck off, you fucking pigs.
But, and you know, and the thing is they're not even supposed to be, they're not even portrayed really as sleazeballs, but it's just, this was fucking 40 whatever years ago, about 42 years ago. And so, yeah, that was still like a fine thing to ask. A woman gets killed, like, well, was she a whore? Because then it's fine, she's dead. You know, it's basically like, what? You know, like, oh my God. Well, what was she wearing? Was she wearing a tight shirt that said, please cut off my head?
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit's still prevalent today, dude. It's still the same shit. Nothing's fucking changed. Like, I've literally yelled at a dude that was staring at my tits. And I was like, can you not stare at my fucking tits? And he's like, well, don't wear that shirt then. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, grow the fuck up. They're tits.
Well, of course it hasn't changed, because people in power, we have to cut a lot of people's heads off, speaking of cutting heads off, in order to make anything change. However, we're more aware of that shit, obviously. Yeah. I mean, if you and I were talking about this 20 years ago, we probably wouldn't even talk about that. You know what I mean? So
that's very true. And you know what else I wrote down? That one cop always had a cigar in his mouth. I wrote, Columbo wannabe dickhead.
Okay. Well, so you were just in a state of anger, I guess, about this.
I was so upset.
Right. So here's the thing, is that actor is Christopher George. He was a big deal on TV, And then in the 80s, kind of ran out of work, so he did some genre movies. So Christopher George was in this. He was in the slasher Graduation Day. He was in Enter the Ninja. He was in... I have a lot of these. He's in several movies like this, and all at the same time. And so he was also in the movie, was it Mausoleum or Mortuary? Mortuary, I believe. Mortuary, okay? So Pieces and Mortuary were the last two things he shot, and then he died of a heart attack that they think was brought on by smoking. And so he wanted them to... He's like, I have a cigar in this movie. And that's how he was in several movies. But I absolutely love, in this film, he has a cigar all the time, sure, but what do you never see?
You never see smoke.
It's never lit.
Nope.
And he even asked for matches a few different times. And I even wrote in caps later on in the notes, it says, someone fucking give him a match.
Light is fucking thing for him.
That it killed him. But yeah, so that was him. And so Christopher George, he plays the main cop, and I forget the guy with the white hair, but he's great too. And
That's so funny.
And their method of police work at first is pretty shitty, being like, oh yeah, well, let's question the victim's lifestyle. What? And like you said, it still happens in real life with rape or with murder and a lot of other crimes. That's too bad. It sucks. Stop doing that. What the fuck? Just look for the bad guy. But eventually, they do a good job. They start trying to look things up. But before they get too far into their case, then we meet the college kid, Kendall, who is wearing a patterned sweater over a plaid shirt. You almost can't even fucking look at him because of this pattern clash.
I just imagine
Right?
you watch this and being like, ugh, fashion.
Yeah. Well, see, I've seen it a few times.
Wear
So
this?
I already knew about like the stuff you're mad about, right? So I was more about like, okay, what else is going on here? I'm like, good God, these fucking shirts. Well, just like when we watch Texas Chainsaw next week, it's like the guys have these really ugly clothes on, and the women's clothes still look fine. And I know, and I agree with you, clothes should not be gendered. I mean, especially for children, there should not be a boys and girls section. There should be a kids section. But the clothes that people who identified as men in the 70s, the clothes they were wearing were shitty. And the clothes that women in the 70s were wearing still look nice today, for the most part. Some of the things are out of fashion, but,
we need you to go to your local Goodwill and buy some of these 70s clothes, and I would like to see you wear them.
Yeah.
That's my request.
I'll try and get my hair like this. And here's the thing is, so you got the professor who's dressed in ugly 70s clothes. You got Kendall dressed in ugly 70s clothes. And both of these guys are getting laid. And it's like... Why are they being encouraged? In fact, that's how we meet Kendall. Kendall's studying at the library, and a very hot woman passes him a note. And I'm like, this must be saying, like, you're a nerd. Like, the first time I watched this movie, I'm like, I bet she's going to call him a dork or something on this note.
Nope.
She drops the note, and he opens it. She's like, meet me in the pool so we can... How did she put it? Did you write that down?
I didn't, because I just wrote, another sexy movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and so basically what she's saying is, come meet me at the swimming pool so we can hook up. I'm like, she wants to hook up with this guy. But I did write that, my very first note, and we just kind of skipped over it, but I said, our podcast has had a lot of sex talk, boob talk, but like, look at this movie. How are we not supposed to talk about boners and humping? It's sex.
Sex is synonymous with horror films. It always has been. It probably always will be. That whole thing of like, if you see tits in a movie or people are doing it or gonna do it, a kill's probably gonna happen. That's just what it is.
Also, I'm scared of sex.
Oh.
Not really.
Okay.
It is scary. You're naked.
That's
and
a whole nother thing that we can unlock at some point.
Urn full of psychology. Coming soon. But so then this girl, like, okay, so she passes this kid Kendall a note being like, hey, meet me down the swimming pool. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she goes down there, And it's funny because it's like pretty clear the way she goes in here. It's pretty clear this girl's gonna get murdered, right?
Yeah, when she
And
started taking her clothes off, I went, whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah. And there's sexy saxophone music playing the minute she walks into the gym.
And I was like, is this another softcore porn?
Yeah, exactly. And this was on the real score. You know, I can't remember if the Spanish version has it or has the same kind of thing here or not. But like, yeah, and then she takes her top off, and I was like, okay, how many times when you're watching a movie, especially a horror movie, do the ladies get ready to swimming and keep their top on? It like rarely happens. They always whip it. You know, they're like, there's no one here. I'll get naked. And so my question for you is, have you ever been skinny dipping?
Yes.
You have. Okay.
Yes.
Were you by yourself or were you with people?
We were with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. How old were you? Okay.
Probably 13, 14. So actually,
dude,
like younger than you would think.
Yeah, but that is almost exactly my skinny dipping experience. I was 13 or 14 in a lake with a bunch of friends. And, you know...
Yeah, and none of us were, like, touching each other or, like, kissing or making out. It was just the whole taboo thing of, like, we're naked!
Yep. That's exactly what we were doing. Because I wrote down, like, we were still young enough where, like, you know, we're at an age, 13, 14, where you can be horny, but only awkwardly. Like, you don't know how to, like... you don't really know how to seduce people yet, right?
Yeah, no, you don't even know what that means.
Right, exactly. So it's not like we're naked and I'm turned to like the girl I had a crush on is like standing right next to me, right, in this lake, and I'm just like, hey, I know your boobs are right there. I'm gonna go. You know, it's like it's just terrifying to me. I was like, oh god, the girl I really like is naked right next to me. I better get out of here.
Oh, it was so fun though. It was so thrilling.
Yeah, well, we had a good time. It was fun because like you said, the main thing was like, oh my god, we're doing something we're not supposed to do, and the cops did come. But they were just like, get out of here. Like, I think we're already, because the park was closed, you know, so it was a state park or whatever. Yeah, whatever. So it's like, okay, but yeah, we didn't get in trouble, but I mean, so that's my only time. And is that the only time you skinny dipped?
Yeah, only the ones.
So like kids in movies, I don't know, I guess they're just cooler than us because they're constantly fucking skinny dipping. I mean, this is the set. Okay, the Bernie had skinny dipping in it.
Yeah.
I wonder if I don't think any. Yeah, I don't know if anything else had skinny. No, okay, but still, 2 out of 4 movies we've discussed so far featured skinny dipping. That's a pretty high percentage, I think.
But would this be considered skinny dipping because she doesn't take her?
Oh, she keeps her bottoms on.
Off?
Yeah, you're right. But it's still sort of to me because she like looks around and then sneaks her top off kind of thing, right?
Well, that's where the intention was going. He was going to get in the pool, and they were probably going to be naked.
Yeah. So, and then he doesn't show up. Instead, the mystery killer with the chainsaw shows up. But before they use the chainsaw, it takes the pool cleaner tool and like puts it over her head and just pulls her out of the pool.
Like she's a fish.
Yeah. It just like pulls her out, but she's kind of like knocked out or something, right?
That made me laugh so hard. But also, this is when you could also think that maybe that guy is the killer because he's the one that's supposed to meet her, and he hasn't.
Kendall, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
as far as we know, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
so somebody's killing her. And
I also laughed because she's like a fish out of water, right? But then she starts to kind of regain her composure. Mm-hmm. But did you notice a lot in this movie when the people notice a chainsaw's coming at them, their reaction isn't really that great in terms of like, they just go, no. Oh, stop.
They don't run away. They're like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, the reactions are pretty lacking.
Right. And given how this movie starts with overly strong reactions to a situation, you'd think that the act of getting murdered, they'd be reacting more than like, oh, shit, I'm getting murdered.
Yeah, I was really confused by that every time it came on screen. But like you're just about to say, there is kind of a reason for that.
Yeah. Well, at first when they're like, oh, hi, because, so... But I love it. There's slasher movies where the killer uses a different way to kill every single victim. Then there's these slasher movies where it's one thing the whole time, like this. And this is one of several reasons why a lot of people consider this a slasher, but also a giallo movie. You know what those are, right?
Well, but a knife happens later on, though.
Yeah, that's true. But it's mostly the chainsaw. I mean, he uses the chainsaw for what he's trying to do. And also, in an Italian giallo movie, the killer's a mystery, and they have black gloves, and and it's normally someone you've met, but you don't know, so... and there's an investigation, so it's a lot like that. Have you ever seen any, like, giallo movies? Like Italian ones? Like Deep Red... Deep Red, Blood and Black Lace, those are some of the most famous ones. Phenomena with Jennifer Connelly talking to bugs is kind of a giallo movie. Have you ever seen that?
No. Jeez, I have.
Oh, dude.
I got some movies to watch.
Well, so we all do. So do I. But it's all good. But yeah. But so giallo means it's Italian for yellow. And when they started making these kind of very violent murder mystery movies, they got called giallo because they reminded people of a popular kind of novel from the 30s in Italy of lurid detective stories with a lot of sex and violence. And those were printed on yellow paper. So that's why they call the movies giallo.
Sex and violence.
Sex and violence. Oh, yeah. That's what we're all about. Hell yeah. But this movie has, it's definitely got slasher elements, but it's heavily giallo-ish too. And it's made by a guy from Spain. And, a lot of Italian movies were shooting in Italy and Spain, and they were helping each other out all the time, so it makes sense. But yeah, so we don't know who it is. But whoever it is very much wants to kill people in a certain way. So instead of just drowning this girl, he picks her up out of the pool and waits for her to come to a little bit and then gets the chainsaw.
I love how they just, like, she's just kind of coming to, and he just casually walks away over to where his chainsaw is and casually walks back. I liked that shot a lot of just like,
it's always
what I'm doing with my day.
The slow footsteps and just picking up the chainsaw coming. Yeah. Dead. And then, but so it... Dead. Murder. Yeah. But
that's so stupid.
Yeah, so then she gets I don't know, does Kendall discover her? Or no, the other, doesn't that kid. So Kendall, meanwhile, then we cut to Kendall's friend, like this kid with the glasses, who's
that kid cracks me up.
He has a very mysterious appearance later, but anyway, so he is like, hey, like had another note for Kendall to go somewhere else and not be at the pool. And so, but then the kid goes to that kid discovers the murdered lady in the pool, right? Or does Kendall? I forget. I think Kendall does. He goes, I didn't write down who found her. But anyways, she gets discovered. And so then they're like, okay, that's when they start suspecting this Kendall kid, because they're like, well, he was supposed to meet her, Yeah. Where was he? And no one knows about the note because you see him try and throw it away, but it doesn't hit the wastebasket.
What note that she left does he take from her body again? Was it the arms?
No, he gets the arms next.
What did he take from this one?
Yeah. Let me look it up. Near the pool, they find the chainsaw on the victim's body part, save for her torso. He took her torso. That's right.
Torso. Okay.
Torso. So he took her torso. Because he's gathering parts. He's got a head. He's got a torso now. And speaking of her body parts,
the pieces.
Yeah.
The pieces.
See, that's why it's called that, everybody. But
I didn't know.
Speaking of her body parts, let's talk about the guys who carry the stretcher in this movie, because they're the same guys. Every time we see a stretcher, it's these same two guys, isn't it? And they just kind of fucking pile her stuff on the thing and carry it away. And they take a foot, and they put her foot on the stretcher, then they just pile a bunch of other shit on top of it.
When the killer is carrying the torso in the bag, I was actually a little upset that there wasn't more blood and there wasn't a blood trail of the torso as he was dragging it, because we've had so much blood, but then
he's had 40 years to plan it, I guess. I don't know.
I guess
maybe he had 40 years to make sure he had the right kind of garbage bag that just won't leak. You know? He did a lot of research.
It was a cloth bag. It was like,
oh yeah, it was a cloth bag.
Through it, but then like I thought there was gonna be like a really cool trail of like blood as he was dragging it, but there was none. I'm like, lame.
And then the groundskeeper guy, Paul Smith, shows up, and they're like, they arrest him right there, but he like is a strong man, and he's like throwing the cops everywhere until one of the main guys like points a gun at his head and says like, cool it. And this is when like, so Christopher George, the main cop, I forget his character's name. He's like, they decide, well, Kendall's not really a suspect, but I want him to help.
Yeah.
And so it cuts from the second murder scene to women working out.
Well, don't they want Kendall to get an evaluation from a psychologist?
Yeah. They want him to, by the police psychologist, because they think that he could help. He might know something that could help them identify the killer. Yeah,
and then he meets the really hot blonde cop that used to be a tennis player.
Yeah.
And that's when we find out like what they're gonna do to try to catch this guy, which made me laugh. I was like, so their great idea is to put this woman undercover on campus to try to get murdered.
Yeah.
To try to catch this guy.
I think the idea is that she could kick his ass and like capture him, be ready for him. But
like
I don't
hit him
know.
in the head with a tennis ball?
I don't know. Maybe I think she's packing heat. Because later we see that she's carrying a gun because she has one when she meets another professor of a department that makes no sense. So we'll get to him in a second. But yeah.
Oh, her name's Miss Riggs. That's her name, Miss Riggs.
There you go. And so that's played by Linda George, Christopher George's actual wife at the time. And and so she was about to lose her husband. He died like right after this. So it's too bad. But
really?
Anyways,
wow.
But they had pretty good chemistry too. I don't think every husband and wife acting team does, but I like the way they get along. It just seems very real, So I like that. But that's their plan. And then so we kind of know they've got a plan, and that Kendall's just kind of gonna help because like Christopher George's character is like, he knows everybody at the campus. He can help identify. It's like, okay, whatever. But then it just cuts to this like exercise class. And I mean, their exercise clothes are a little too sexy, right? They seemed weirdly sexy.
That's how they were in the 80s. You had a lot of aerobics classes that had, you have your leotards.
Yeah.
That just showed a lot of like everything. And my thought watching it was, why don't they have any like horror themed aerobics classes? I would definitely take those. That would be really fun.
Like you get all dressed up in your spandex and pretend to run away from Jason or something?
Well, you just like work out to like horror movie themes.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
like
that works.
horror movie songs. Like that would be really fun.
Right, it'd be better than the weird, sexy jazz music they work out to, or whatever the hell's happening. And then, so they show this girl, and you think it's following her after she leaves exercise. You're like, oh, she's gonna get killed, and she doesn't. But that's the only time in the movie where you think someone's gonna get murdered, and they don't get murdered.
Well, not yet, anyways, right?
Oh, is this the same girl that? Yeah. You were right. Yep. So, but she doesn't get murdered yet.
Yeah, but that was a great lead up of like, oh shit, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, but and then it didn't. Just the one time. And while they're getting their plan together, then the cops deal with this lady from the press, and it's like, man, but that's another thing. You're talking about the misogynist police and their questions. Another thing I hate, like kind of about the social political thing at the Times, was like all these horror movies where the press person is like a problem, where they're bad for trying to fucking find out what's happening so they can tell people.
Well, because of stupid.
Because they're like, this fucking asshole wants to. What? Sorry.
This stupid fucking dean wants to keep. And she's even like, I heard that like people are being murdered. Like, why is the campus open? Like, what the fuck?
And the cops lie to her. They don't do a good job. They're just like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like smiling the whole time. I don't know what you mean. It's like, you guys are fucking obviously lying. So that's why she keeps investigating. And then sometime around here, they also cut, it's after the second kill, I suppose, they cut back to a shot of the killer's hands putting the puzzle together. And the
Oh
killer
yeah,
has
I
black
like
gloves
that.
on. Yeah, and they keep doing that after every kill. But this is when I noticed, like, the hands kind of fumble with the pieces a lot as it's putting it in. I'm like, some poor fucker had these like murder disguise gloves on, and like they're leather gloves. It's kind of hard to handle these little puzzle pieces. Yeah, it's funny.
I wrote something down here, and I wanted to ask you: does this university you think have any significance for the mom of like why he's here and why he's killing everyone, or you think it's just because it's a convenient place for women's parts?
Yeah, and as we're about to find out with the next kill, it's someone they know. So that might be why
I
too.
wrote that down. It's someone they
but
know.
yeah, but and it's not like, yeah, by the way, of course we spoil every movie we talk about, so hopefully you don't care
Yep.
or have already watched this. So the next kill, yeah, it's this woman, and where is she? She's in the classrooms or somewhere, right?
Yeah, she's coming from one of the aerobics classes again. I wrote 5 stars for this kill, by the way.
The one that gets her arms cut off.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we're at. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the elevator. Okay. So she
Yeah.
is this the aerobics girl?
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
aerobics girl.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yep. So then we see her at aerobics class again with weirdly sexy jazz music, and like the other thing is when you see her she's doing aerobics or whatever by herself, but like, what fucking aerobics are these? Like, is it aerobics? Is it ballet? Is it like stripper practice? Like, what are these moves? Like, what is she doing? You know what I mean? I was very confused by what
Interpretive dancing.
interpretive horny dancing. I don't know. Maybe
Horny dance.
maybe it's just me because I like the way these gals they got it going on. But these college girls who are all grandmothers now, but the ones that didn't get cut up by pieces, we'll just call the killer pieces. But anyways, yeah, so she gets tracked down and murdered, stalked and murdered, and as the killer, you see the killer kind of from the killer's point of view approaches her. She goes, "Oh, it's you, sir. You made me jump." So
Yeah.
that's when we realize the killer is someone familiar to them.
Yeah, because then she goes in the elevator and like waits for him to get in, and she's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
lets him in. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
sorry, like you scared the shit out of me.
Right.
Well, let's go."
And what's
then
funny
she's
about
like,
this?
"What are you
Go
doing?"
ahead. Yeah. She's like, "What are you doing?" Well, it's like, okay, so he had the chainsaw like right there, and she's like, "Oh, it's someone I know with a chainsaw, so it's fine."
How would you have reacted? I want to hear your reaction. If this was you in the elevator.
If
Yeah.
I'm the woman, okay, okay, I see this guy, somebody I know, be like, "Oh, hi, hey, oh, it's just you. You scared me. Listen, I'm gonna go. What do you got there? Oh, that's weird. They're looking for a guy with a chainsaw, so you might want to go put that away. I'm gonna get back in the elevator and go home. Like, I would find a weird way to not have him with me. She's like, hop on it. Like, people, but this is all over only a couple days, and they're keeping it from the students. So maybe she doesn't know that the chainsaw is
She
the
doesn't
murder
know
weapon.
because they've kept the
Yeah,
campus on
yeah, that's right.
on normal procedures. So I don't even think
Right.
anybody knows that like people are really dying.
It's
they
like,
don't even
the dean.
show that.
Right. Yeah, they don't, the dean, by keeping it away, by keeping all the information suppressed, it's almost like the dean is responsible for their deaths. But, she's going to get murdered. And so they show her body, and man, did she get murdered. No, she's not murdered. That's right. They cut her arms off and she looks dead, but she's still alive.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh my God, she's still alive," and they those guys with the stretcher again.
Yeah, the mulleted stretchers are.
They had her whole body covered up with the sheet though, so I was like, "Is she
she's
still
dead.
alive?"
But then the doctor's like, she's not gonna make it. It's like, yeah, you clearly don't think she's gonna make it because you already treated her like a corpse.
Jesus.
Well, that's another funny thing about this movie is, like I said, the director had never been to America, and he's making a movie that takes place here. Nobody, as Shandi mentioned a little bit ago, the lady detective is going undercover. She used to be a tennis pro, so she's going undercover as a tennis instructor at this college. Susan George, that actress, and all the other actresses we see playing tennis, none of them knew how to play tennis. And so they just kind of made it up. And some tennis, a lot of times it's like, I wouldn't know, but apparently people who knew how to play tennis were criticizing this movie like Susan George's backswing sucks and stuff like that.
What the fuck does that even matter?
I know, right?
It's not a tennis movie.
Right. But I bring it up because it seems like every profession in the movie is being portrayed by people who don't know how it works. Because the doctor and the stretcher guys, it's like everybody makes such weird decisions while carrying out the duties of their job. Like the cops letting this kid Kendall just basically be a detective with them. It's like it's some fucking kid, and he is absolutely still a suspect. Yeah.
It's like they're like, what? Oh, go through these case files.
It's just. Oh,
why?
Yeah.
Probably the funniest part of the movie happens next.
So right before that, though, we cut to Kendall's in bed with some chick that he hooked up with. And he gets up and looks out the window because he's like worried about Mrs. Riggs, right? And when he gets up to look out the window, we see his dick. And I wrote down, this podcast has a really good record for watching movies with dicks in them so far. 3 out of 4. The only one that didn't was Carnival of Souls.
Kendall, your like other chick that you were banging got murdered, and like,
yeah,
the fuck are you doing?
He's just, I don't know.
That's his way of grieving.
And she thinks, the poor girl thinks he doesn't like her because she was talking, and she's like, "You can tie me up, you can gag me." And and then they show another shot of him standing at the window, and now they've strategically put a flower pot right in front of his dick. It's like, we already saw his dick. Like, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, no.
But he seems to have a thing for the teacher, right, for Mrs. Riggs.
Oh, yeah, he totally does, because he recognized her when he was in the police station.
Oh, right, as like a tennis player. Yeah.
I was going to ask you this. Did you have any teachers that you had a crush on?
I don't think I ever really did. Did you ever have a crush on a teacher?
Yeah, I did. When I was in elementary school and in middle school, high school, I had a crush on a teacher like every chunk of like school.
Every phase. Yeah, different teachers. I
always had a teacher crush.
Do you remember any of them? Who the people were?
I remember.
Were they all dudes?
They were all dudes. I just remember always being really happy to go to class. But I knew it was wrong. It was wrong.
It's not wrong to like as you're developing as an adult and your hormones and stuff are starting to work. I don't think it's wrong to be able to recognize when you find someone attractive.
That's true.
Obviously, you shouldn't go try and screw them, but But so, in middle school and high school, my women teachers were normally quite a bit older than me. And a lot of the times they were my friends' moms, because I'm in a small town. So
yeah.
I never happened. And the only younger teachers, maybe there was one or two younger ladies that I had at one point that were pretty, that people thought were hot. I can't remember. But there were some dudes like that. Our science teacher, genetics teacher in 9th or 10th grade, Mr. Glad. I don't know where Ted Glad is anymore, but he looked kind of like Keanu Reeves, and his name was Ted.
Oh.
And
and
women like the girls that definitely had crushes on him, and I was kind of friends with him because we're studying genetics, right? And he saw that I had Star Wars stickers on my binder or whatever. He's like, and we were doing the genetic. It's not a family tree, but you know how those charts you use to see how a genetic trait passes down through family. You ever seen those?
Yeah.
Okay. So like male pattern baldness is one and stuff with red hair, stuff like that. But he's like, oh, you like Star Wars? Let's do one for the Force. And I was like, this guy's fucking awesome.
Cool.
So maybe I had a crush on him. I don't know.
Yeah, you had a man crush. That's okay.
Because, well, absolutely. I went on to love Keanu Reeves, so maybe. He was cool. He was a good guy. And there was another science teacher who was like a tall, handsome man basketball player. So I'm sure those two guys had a lot of ladies fawning over them. But yeah, so middle school and high school, yep. Elementary school, I went to a Catholic grade school, and I had like nun teachers. So, but not sexy nuns, like old mean nuns. My first grade teacher was a nun. She was so mean, she got fired, and then she blamed it on us. A nun gaslighting a bunch of 9-year-old or like 7 and 8-year-olds.
Ew. Ew.
Yeah, it was
Fuck
terrible.
her.
Yeah. So yeah, I never really experienced that, but yeah, this guy definitely seemed Kendall really cares about his teacher. So he leaves this sex appointment
Appointment.
to go find her. So then then it cuts to I mean that dude. It doesn't seem like anyone has a relationship. He's just going around banging people, So sex appointment. So then we cut to Mrs. Rigg walking around campus at night, and then yes, this is what you wanted to talk about.
What the fuck is this? What? I paused it after this and was just laughing.
Yeah. I'm glad we went back so you could make the point of what the fuck is this?
What is this?
Okay, so the teacher's walking, Mrs. Rigg, the undercover lady, is walking down the campus at night, and foreboding music comes up, and someone jumps out at her, and it's this Asian dude, and he's doing like kung fu moves to her, trying to hit her. And, she, of course, thinks, well, she's a woman at night, so any man that jumps out and starts doing moves you should be scared of. But also, you can tell she kind of thinks, oh, God, this is the killer, right?
Yeah.
So then she pulls out a gun. That's why I said earlier, well, I know she carries a gun, So she pulls a gun, and he kicks it out of her hand, and he's, like, doing kung fu shit to her. And then she, like, kicks him in the crotch, apparently really hard, and he just falls over, like, knocked out. Right?
Yeah, and then then you hear the motorcycle.
Yeah. Which you think is a chainsaw for a second.
Yeah, and she even says that. She's like, dude, that sounded like a chainsaw.
Yeah. She's like, that dirt bike, no. Yeah. That's a great use of the motorbike engine. It was like, hey, yeah, it sounds like a chainsaw, so let's sure. Like, so you just tricked us with this kung fu guy, and now then right after he falls down, it's like, oh shit, but no, it's Kendall on his bike. But so I thought that was clever,
And Kendall, she's like, what the fuck is going on here? And he's like, oh, that's my kung fu professor.
Yeah, kung fu professor. That's not a fucking department. Are you serious? Come on.
And then the kung fu guy goes, oh, must have been something I ate. Chop suey. And then he runs off. What the fuck?
Right, yeah. So he says a racist joke about himself. And yeah, so he doesn't want to admit in front of the student that she kicked him in the dick so hard that he just stopped. But but I wrote
an odd moment.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, when we talk about the next kill, then I want to go back to something I wrote down at this point because I don't. But anyway, so so the kung fu guy is played. Did you notice the name of the actor?
Oh, I did not. No.
His name is Bruce Lee, but with one E. And so Bruce Lee, this guy, yes. Well, I don't know if you know about this, but so after Bruce Lee, so Bruce Lee, the actor, made martial arts a big deal in America, and was a big, huge presence, right? And changed cinema with his martial arts films. But that died very young, shooting his third movie or something. So he only made a couple movies. And these kung fu movies, there'd been period historical kind of kung fu movies being made in Hong Kong and coming over to America by the Shaw Brothers Company for years already, and they were huge. But these more modern kung fu movies that Bruce Lee did have become a very popular thing. And so he died, and it's very tragic. And obviously his son Brandon Lee, who's in your favorite movie of all time, tragically died as well. So it's such a weird curse kind of thing. But so Bruce Lee dies. And companies are like, well, shit, people want to see these kind of movies. So they just made there's a name to it. We talked about exploitation on Body Melt a couple episodes ago, but this is called Bruce exploitation, where they started making all these movies like Bruce Lee Returns from the Grave and Bruce Lee the Killer and all these different things. And so sometimes the name of the movie would be Bruce something, but sometimes it would just be whatever, like The Return of the Dragon or something. Well, that was one of his movies, but something about like Revenge of the Dragon, let's say, starring Bruce Lee, but it'd be Bruce L.E., like this guy. There was another one who was Bruce Lee L.I. There was like 4 or 5 of them.
Jeez, I didn't even know that.
and maybe even more than that. Yeah. In fact, Severin Films, one of the boutique Blu-ray companies that puts out cool genre movies, recently put out the first volume, there will be more, of the Clones of Bruce set. So it's like a collection of movies of fake Bruce Lee movies, And I'm sure I haven't really seen any of them. I'm sure some of them are good.
I even wrote down Bruce Lee when I saw this scene.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
well, because he's made. That's exactly what they wanted you to do. But, I mean, his haircut's the same, and his whole kind of thing is the same. That they were like copying, and in fact, they used, was it Game of Death? Was the movie he was shooting when he died, and with the famous yellow tracksuit that they later had in Kill Bill. So that movie didn't get finished. So when they put it out, it's like those scenes, but then like other fucking guys playing Bruce Lee at different parts of it. So it's crazy. So it's really funny that it's just it's of the time. And like how I said, like Christopher George and Edward Purdon and these other actors in this movie, they're doing this movie after their heyday, right? So was this Bruce Lee guy, because that was in the late 70s, was a big deal. And so he maybe needed work at this point too. And so they're like, hey, yeah, we'll just have you do this one completely bizarre scene in this slasher movie,
Like they could have left that out. It wouldn't have mattered at
100%. No need. That and the skateboarding girl both are like, why are these in this? I'm really, really happy they are in it. Yeah. But
gave me such a giggle.
Yeah. Like, if this scene and the skateboarding scene in the beginning, if those scenes weren't in this movie, we would probably not be talking about it right now.
No. Well,
although, wait.
I don't know. What's about to happen?
Yeah. Never mind. So, all right. So then the next kill that happens, who is it? The reporter that gets killed, right?
Yeah, that poor lady.
And she's on the campus investigating and sneaking around, and the killer kills her. However, he chases her around, and stop me if you've got other notes about this, but so he chases her into a waterbed room. Like on college campus. It's just a room with just a waterbed in it, right?
Yeah, and I don't understand. I mean, obviously we talked about a waterbed in the beginning of the movie. So it's... Yeah. When I was talking about waterbeds, it was a student that actually created it on a campus. So it's kind of really weird.
Oh.
That like, it's not completely weird that there's one on campus, because maybe it's like for like a physics course or something, or like engineering department.
Okay.
Who knows? I don't know. But it is really odd that's the only thing in the room.
And it's a cool kill.
Oh, God damn, it's so good.
He's slashing her, slash the water, and then the close-up of the knife going, it's a close-up on her mouth, and the knife blade comes through her mouth. It's pretty cool. But also, like, and I wrote here, I like that the killer kind of sucks at this. Like, because it takes him a while to, like, get her dead. You know what I mean? Like, he's really struggling with murdering this girl, It's probably why he uses a chainsaw.
So before... when he's going after her, they do like another shot of the loafers, and they do it a lot. And I wrote, these damn loafers, comfortable murder shoe, must be a comfortable murder shoe. Yeah, because normally they're like, the murderers are wearing like boots.
Yeah, like Michael Myers. Yeah,
he's wearing like penny loafers.
Yeah.
Which to me wanted you to, that's why I also thought it was the dean, because I was like, who's gonna wear penny loafers and constantly and not have any, like, you're not gonna change into a boot,
right, for your
I'm
killing
confused.
Or a running shoe.
But also shout out to anyone that works at a shoe company. I would buy a murder loafers. Good for killing.
Good for chilling and killing. I wrote down also, entire nations were founded and crumbled during the waterbed kill scene, because it just seemed like it took for fucking ever.
Oh man, I wonder how long it took for them to shoot that.
Yeah, it's probably tough. But I also wrote down this. I said, kung fu professor and a waterbed room, presumably for nailing stoned horny college girls. This college has everything.
Also, right? I was shocked that he moved on to a knife.
Yeah, I suppose
And that knife is big.
Oh, but this is the
Holy
reporter
shit.
he's killing, so I don't think he planned this one. I think he sees the reporter sneaking around. He's like, I got to take care of this problem right now, you know? So, but he still uses her pieces for his, for the thing he's working on.
Shit.
Right? He uses, it doesn't say what he uses from Sylvia the reporter. Yeah, I don't think Sylvia was part of his plan.
No, okay. That makes sense then.
Because at this point, he's got the torso and he's got the head. He's got the torso and the head and the arms. And so he kills the reporter. He still needs the bottom half of his puzzle. And it's kind of funny how he gets it. But this is where I wrote down, we kind of already talked about it, Buzz, but like, Shandi, you are a straight woman. So is Kendall attractive? The college student guy? Is he an attractive man?
I mean, I'm bi. I like men and women.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't mean to assume that.
You didn't know that, I don't think. But
Okay. Well, hey, all right. Well, but then I guess it's
a lot
good.
about us. People are gonna learn a lot about me and you on this show.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't start realizing I liked girls until like my early 20s. So like all
Okay.
of the crushes on the
Oh,
male
okay. Right.
gender, yeah.
But anyway, so you like
Makes
dudes
sense.
in some way. Is he like hot? Because I was like, how's he pulling these tricks?
He's okay. Nobody in this movie is attractive to me, I don't think.
The dudes.
Like no one, not the men or the women.
Oh, there's some very good looking ladies in this. Come on. No?
I was not attracted to any of them.
Maybe I'm just lonely. I'm just lonely. Just kidding. But anyways, okay, yeah. So this next kill, the girl's playing tennis by herself. First, she's playing with the teacher. She's playing with the teacher earlier, but so now she's practicing because the teacher's not good at tennis and still beats her earlier. So it's like, okay, now she's practicing tennis by herself. And then so this music starts playing over the loudspeakers at the tennis courts.
So creepy.
Yeah, and it's marching band music. And I wrote down yet another movie where the killer lures the victim to their demise with marching band music. Because that's sarcastic, obviously. What? Never seen this before. This movie's really good with stuff you've never seen before. Some of it maybe you don't need to see ever, but you're seeing it anyways, so...
So is he playing that music as kind of a throwback to the beginning of the movie and the era of like the 40s?
Possibly, but it's also has a practical purpose.
Yeah, because he's like, come turn this shit off.
Right, but there's another practical purpose too. So she's like, what the fuck is this music? And she goes in and she's like, and I wrote this down. I'm like, okay, this music bothers me, so I'm going to go take a shower? What?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
But then it cuts to Kendall and Mrs. Rigg, who looks like they're about to play tennis or coming from playing tennis. And they're walking through the tennis courts and they hear this music. And they're like, well, that's kind of weird. In the meantime, this girl's in the shower and here comes a chainsaw guy. And so that's the other purpose of the music is they can't hear the chainsaw because of this loud ass music.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The killer's smart. It's almost like he works at the university. Anyways, I'm very inspired by this movie to keep dropping hints. But so then they're like, okay, this is weird. And we see the girl get killed, and there's this amazing shot. She's out of the shower, and she starts getting dressed. And then the killer comes at her, and I think she doesn't have a shirt on yet. She's just wearing pants, right? I think she's topless, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she starts running away from him. And they do, okay, don't worry. The amazing shot is not what you might be worried I'm going to say. Okay, I'm not talking about the shot that comes up right now of a close-up of her wetting her pants. What the fuck?
Well, I wrote, I pissed myself too.
Well, yeah, me too. But showing it is like, well, why? I wrote, my note said, just in case you aren't sure if this half-naked woman being chased by a stranger with a chainsaw is scared, here's a close-up of her wetting her pants.
She's scared
It's
shitless.
like, what? Yeah, peeless. Scared peeless. It would be weird if they showed her pooping her pants. That'd be very unnecessary. But
God.
Just so, yeah, what? Anyways, but so then he's chasing her around and she like closes a door to get away from him, and she's in like a little private shower room now in the gym, and closes the door. And then it cuts to Kendall and the teacher hearing the music still. They're like, this is weird. So they start walking towards the building. So then they cut back to the killer, and he is using the chainsaw to open up to carve a hole in the door, right? And so he like carves this triangle in the door, and it's such a great shot because you're seeing the shot is right behind the killer, and you see him use the chainsaw. And so as the piece falls out of the door, then you're seeing beyond that, you're seeing the woman in the shower like screaming. And I thought that was an awesome shot that they did that all in one take, you know?
Yeah, and then I wrote down for you another love handle slice happens.
Oh yeah. Good.
Yeah, and it's a good one.
Good call. 'Cause in the burning. Yeah. I mentioned that in the burning, and now we're back with it again, and he carves her the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then what do we cut to? We cut to the gardener walking out of the building with a bag. And he sees Kendall and the cop lady coming, so he hides the bag.
Yeah, which is like, what?
So fucking suspicious.
Is it him? Damn it. I was like, am I wrong? Is it not the dean? What the fuck?
It's like, okay, Paul L. Smith, the actor we just talked about a little bit ago, he's an incredibly suspicious looking person, and he's been making this suspicious face the whole time, and he's like mean to everybody for no good reason. And it's like, okay, how fucking suspicious you have to be. Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but his name is Willard, but people call him Willard.
Willard.
And again, that's another sign to me of this movie being written and directed by someone who doesn't speak English and has never been to America. So like, well, there's that name. You probably say it this way. Even though the people who are performing the piece should know how you say that name. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Have you ever thought that name should be Willard? Have you ever pronounced it that way? No.
No.
And so they're like, can we turn this music down? He's like, you can't come in there. You can't go in there.
Yeah. She's like, this music is driving me fucking nuts.
Yeah, which she's about to prove.
I'll take responsibility. Let's go. And then Randall, the way he kind of like weirdly sneaks off to go into the showers, like, she leaves the two of them. And then I'm like, well, is it him?
Right.
What the fuck? But we just saw the kill, so no, it can't be him. But like, are we in a chronological order here? Is it like it's about to happen while they're turning the thing off? Like, trying to confuse the shit out of me.
Every man in this movie acts suspiciously. It's like, well, and maybe it's trying to be honest, like, hey, women, all men are fucking enemies, so be careful no matter who you're with, which is a good message, right? Not all men are enemies, because I don't want any fucking incels writing comments. I don't even want them listening or knowing who we are. But anyways, not all men are enemies, right? But you should treat every man as a potential enemy. Because I think that's what this film tricks the viewer into doing, and it's not a bad lesson.
Randall comes out of the shower. He's got blood on his fucking hand, and he's like, "Oh my god, she's dead. He got another one."
Because the kill, he finds a kill, and it's amazing. That kill is awesome. That scene is her in the corner, just only the top half of her and her guts everywhere. That's awesome, right?
It was awesome. What's even more awesome is Miss Riggs.
Yeah.
You remember her yelling?
Oh my god.
I wrote it down.
What'd you write down?
Bastard!
Yeah, that's what I wrote down.
Bastard!
Bastard! Bastard!
Bastard! Bastard!
The films they've done around this time, they always seem a little coked up, and this is no different. It's like she might have snorted a line before this, because of bastard! Like, she's freaking out. I mean, yeah, all these women are getting murdered. You should be upset. But it's like crazy how she's acting.
Well, she said, the first time she said it, it's like, he got another one. Bastard! Yeah. And then she did it again and again and again.
And over and over. It's amazing.
Oh, so good.
And the other thing I like about this part is, so like, the gardener guy kind of turns around for him, right? He kind of becomes a helper.
Yep.
And he helps him turn the music off. And then when he and the lady come back and see Kendall with blood on him and freaking out, he like runs to help. We don't really see what he does, but I mean that's the last time we see him in the movie. But he runs to help, which is cool. So it seems he's been cleared, right?
Yeah, it's not him.
It's not the girl. Yeah. And what I also think is funny about this kill is that so throughout the movie, the killer's collecting different pieces of women, like we've been saying. He gets a head, then he gets a torso. Then he gets both arms. Then he kills a newspaper lady just so that she can't discover him. Okay, so she doesn't count. So he gets a head, torso, and arms. And then for the bottom half of the woman, he just takes the entire bottom half from one lady. Just like, zip, I need to wrap this up. They're on to me.
Yeah, but he's going to grab Mrs. Riggs' shoes, right?
Yeah,
and her
feet?
feet?
Yeah. So, yeah, he might
He's
want her
not
feet.
done.
You're right. Yeah, he's not done. But I just think it's funny how he's doing it piece by piece, but then uses one lady for like a huge part of this.
Well, because
she's like 40% of the thing.
So he's like, damn, they're kind of like getting really close to like figuring this out. Like you said, I got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we got to get this going.
I got to finish this puzzle.
Yeah. Okay, so the reason that the cop, Christopher George, one of the reasons he recruited this kid, Kendall, he says like, oh yeah, he can help us because he knows everyone on campus. But he also wants to use him as an assistant because he is at college and can keep an eye on Mary Rigg, the undercover tennis instructor gal. And keep an eye on her, right? But then conveniently, towards the end of the movie, he's like, you know what? I need you to go sit in this room with the other cop and look at files for a long time. Right?
He's like, just go through this until you find something.
Yeah, what? Oh, God.
But they find something.
They do find something. In the meantime, Mrs. Rigg talks to the anatomy professor. I believe his name's Professor Brown. And he's like, quit. He's like, you, because he thinks she's just a new teacher. And she's asking all these questions like, what about this? What do you know about this? He's like, you're asking too many personal questions. You're weird. Well, and then he just leaves her, right? One of the students, I think, tells her where the dean lives. She's like, I'm going to go. Is the dean around? They're like, well, no, but he might be home right now. He was out of town today, but he might be home now. So then she heads over to the dean's. And so she's going to the dean's. We come back to Kendall and the cop guy going through files, and they're eating food and drinking. And did you notice what kind of food they have?
Wendy's.
No, not exactly.
Oh.
If you go back and look, I fucking love this. I love this. If you go back and
Wendy's,
freeze,
I swear.
Hold on, let me finish. Okay, so if you go back and pause it and look, it says Wendy, no S. Wendy, and it's like because it's fake movie stuff, right? So they don't get sued. It's Wendy. It's like, oh my God, you guys! I love it. But it worked, right? Because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, Wendy's, and your brain processed it that way too. That's what you're supposed to do. But yeah, since I've seen it a few times, like that just says Wendy. Wendy hamburgers.
I was like, ooh, I wonder if he's drinking a shake.
Yeah, a Frosty, right? Oh, those are so good. Wendy's is good, man. A little JBC, Junior Bacon Cheese. Oh, yeah.
With some French fries. You put the French fries in the chocolate shake. Yeah.
We just got a Wendy's again in my town. It had lines like out onto the highway when it first opened.
That's so crazy. You got your first one.
No, it's not. Not the first one. We had it when I was a kid, but Wendy's hadn't been here for like 30 years or something. So, yeah.
Oh, damn.
And Hardee's, we had for a little while, but they're very expensive for this area, so they didn't do well. So now that Hardee's closed down and Wendy's moved into that building. So Wendy's, I mean, their prices are good. It's a great restaurant. They should sponsor this podcast. Wendy Hamburgers presenting Urn Full of Popcorn.
Or we open a restaurant called Wendy. Doesn't have
right next door.
Hey, you been to that restaurant, Wendy? It sounds so weird.
I've been to Wendy's. No, man, you got to go to Wendy. They give you whiskey with the food.
Oh, that sounds like a fucking drug thing.
What, Wendy? Oh man, I'm sorry about
you gotta go to like Wendy, man.
Yeah,
you want to get
the new
shit?
Designer drug. It's like, yeah, we just we caught a truck at the border with a boot full of Wendy. They're gonna be, they're dosing the weed with Wendy. Wendenil. Wendy. Anyways, then Mary, the detective or the undercover tennis lady, goes to the dean's office, and he's like, "You want to come in?" She's like, "I don't know." She's like, He's like, come in, have some coffee." She's like, "Okay." And she walks in.
No, she didn't want to go in there.
No, because she's a detective or some sort of police person. She has instincts. But when they walk in, you start... I don't know if your brain did this, but even though I've seen this before, I couldn't quite remember how it goes. And so my brain was like, oh, yeah, we've seen this room several times in this movie. You know? And so then I've been talking too much for the last few minutes. So tell us what happens next, Shandi. When he goes to make her coffee?
When he's making her coffee, he grabs a little pill bottle, a liquid form bottle from the cabinet, because he asked her, "Do you want cream and sugar?" And she says, "Just cream." And he's like, "Oh, put a little saccharin in it."
Yeah.
And he puts like a little bitty bit, and I was like, okay, he is just putting saccharin in there. Mm-hmm. And then he insists that she have another cup. And then he puts a shit ton more in, and I went, "That's not fucking saccharin."
Right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. But you know what? This is when I had a weird thought.
Okay.
I went, maybe the killer is the dean's son, is the dean's son Randall.
You mean Kendall?
Or, sorry, Kendall, not Randall.
Okay.
That would be like a weird thing of
a twist.
Because in the beginning... the mom was like your father. So I was like,
oh, sure.
Oh, is he like, yeah, fuck you, Mom. I am going to be like my dad, and I'm going to teach my kid the same shit. Or they were doing it together.
Ooh, that could be it. Yeah. Speaking of Kendall, so then we cut back to him and the cop enjoying their Wendy food and their food from Wendy. And they... they're looking at a file, and the white-haired cop, forget his name, is like, "Hey, look at this, look at this. This guy changed his name. And before he changed his name, he was Timothy something, and his mother got murdered. It's the dean."
What great detective work.
I know, it's so fucking weird.
They're just like, oh, it must be him because his mother was murdered, but they don't.
Yeah, and he changed his name.
You're just assuming it was him?
Yeah, and he changed his name because his name was Tim, and his name was Timmy as a kid. So the killer's name is Timmy in this movie.
So it's you. You did it.
Yeah, maybe. No, I wouldn't kill. If I was going to be a murderer, I'd kill dudes. I hate dudes. Right? I mean, fuck us. We suck. There might be a few ladies that deserve it, but I'd be like, I'm just going to mostly kill guys because I'm sick of their pickup trucks. You know?
Their pickup trucks? Very specific.
Well, you don't live in South Dakota. It's fucking everywhere. It's like a virus.
Well, this might be some forensic evidence for later down the road. But,
yeah. Fistful of evidence. Or no, fistful of evidence.
Fistful.
I don't know what the hell. Anyways, but yeah, so then they're like, oh my God, it's the dean. And then
they're like, holy shit, Mary was like on her way to the dean. Like, we got to get there now.
So Kendall earlier was the one that gave her the directions.
Yeah.
Because the cop says, it's the dean. And Kendall goes, oh shit, she's going to the dean's house. She just told me. So like, oh God. So then they call Christopher George's character, and he's also like, oh God. So they go. Meanwhile, Mary is talking to this guy, and she starts to like feel weird.
Yeah, she's like, I don't feel right. Something feels weird. And apparently whatever he gave her keeps her conscious, but immobilizes her. And
it eventually paralyzes her voice. But he basically, once she says, I feel weird, he kind of fesses up, right?
Yeah, and he's like, you can hear everything that I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do anything about it. How fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty badass, really.
Yeah, it really is.
And So he basically fessed up that I'm the killer. So it is the dean the whole time. So that's why when you told me that, so when you texted that to me, you had just started watching the movie, and you texted, "What if it's the dean?" And that's why I asked, "What part are you at?" Because I was like, how the fuck how this lady already fucking guess? Because I never guessed it was the dean.
I'm really good at that shit, though.
Yeah, okay.
I usually generally figure it out within like the first few minutes.
I never considered him.
Because usually in horror movies, sometimes it's like usually the least person that you suspect, which is, it happens a lot where it's like in real life, usually the killer, the serial killer, is the guy next door, the person that nobody fucking suspects. He's the one that's been keeping fucking bodies in the basement. And also him being like, I want to keep this shit hush hush.
That's good. See, I might be a victim of my own film nerdery, because once I kind of felt that the movie was kind of a giallo-esque, kind of had a lot of similarities to these Italian mystery movies. A lot of the time in those movies, there's always some weird sexual thing with a kid and his mom in a flashback at the beginning. A lot of those movies start that way. And often the killer is not someone you've seen very much, if at all, in the movie. So I didn't think it'd be the dean. I thought it'd be some guy. So what I think is clever about this scene is now, yeah, she is paralyzed, but like he told the audience, it's like his character's telling the audience, here's what's clever about this scene, everybody, is she can see and hear me, but she can't say anything now because she eventually is so paralyzed she can't talk, right? She can see and hear me, but can't do anything else about it. So this is very clever, audience, by the way. That's kind of what he's saying. But so then Kendall and the white-haired cop show up, and the other cop shows up, even though he's coming from a different place. They get there at the same time, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like they both pull up at the same time, and then they run in, and they just see her sitting there.
Well, what's really creepy is she's trying to tell them with her eyes, like, look at over there at the curtains, because that's where he fucking is. And she's trying to move her hand, and he's just like, Kendall's like, it'll be okay, we'll get you moving. And she's just her eyes keep darting over there, and I'm like, look over there.
Yeah. It's so awesome. She's trying to say, look over there, you'll see his loafers.
Goddamn loafers.
And he's like, fuck God, I hate shoes. I remember that about you. You just hate shoes. Old shoe-hating Shandi, that was what we called you back in the day.
Well, shoes are really significant in film because there's a lot of actors that say they can't put themselves in the characters, like put themselves into like the character's world until they're wearing their shoes. Like shoes are a really big part of the outfit.
Yeah, totally. Literally.
Yeah,
totally. Well, yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, guys like that would wear those at that time, you know, so it makes sense. But, you know, it might have some weird connection, but just reminded me of your theories about that. It reminds me of, like, every day in the Twin Peaks subreddit, someone's like, I noticed that the notes of this song spelled sad or something. It's like, dude, that doesn't mean anything. Shut the fuck.
Are you saying I'm that? that is what I am like. I am like that, though.
No.
I'm always like, this had to have been on purpose.
No.
It has to mean something.
I hope you know when I bring up stuff like that, I'm not trying to say that you suck at this or something. You know that, right?
Yeah, no. I'll tell you if I think something like that.
Okay. If you think that I'm being a dick, is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I hope you would.
And we can segue that into the end of this film, by the way.
Yeah, let's talk about from not being a dick to not having one. This movie, for anyone who didn't watch this before you listened to us, Pieces is really notorious. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it was counted in Britain as a video nasty at the time, meaning they had this list of films that were nasty and they wouldn't let people watch them. I'm sure it was on a list. It got banned from other places. Because there's a lot of sex and violence in it, of course, nudity and violence. But the ending scene is fucking insane. And now we're at it because, you know, so the guys come in, and like Shandi said, the Mary is trying to like point with her eyes, like kind of right, like the Tin Man not having enough oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Like
and
killer's here, you
When
guys. He's right
yeah, he's fucking.
there.
Is he in the room with you now? That was my Dr. Phil impression. But anyways, but so they turn around to like help her, and Kendall's a sweet kid. Maybe he wants to bang this lady. I don't know, but he's a sweet guy. He's trying to help her. He doesn't know what else is going on, right? So, and plus the cops had told him like, don't get involved, but he's just trying to help her. So he turns his back, and that's when the dean comes out from behind the curtain with his knife.
Yeah, and then gets shot in the fucking head.
Right, because the cops leave. Oh, yeah, I forgot to talk about how bad the cops handle this. They go in, they see the ladies there, they look around, they're like, oh, the dean's not here anymore, let's go. And so they leave Kendall alone with her, that's right. And then he, like, helps her out. And that's when the dean's like, oh, cool, now I can kill both these fuckers because the cops were too dumb to stay here for another minute.
I know, and I thought that he was going to get the knife in his back. And then he was going to get her shoes and like her feet. That's what I was thinking was going to happen.
Like he was going to kill Kendall and take her feet.
Yeah.
And take the lady's feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so then, luckily, the cops remember, oh, yeah, we're supposed to protect people. And they fucking run back into the apartment. And see him and shoot him. And it looks like he gets shot with a paintball gun. Because it's just like a little red spot on his head. It doesn't look bloody.
Yeah,
For a movie with tons of blood in it.
He gets shot with his arm mid-air, right? Like he's got the knife
Maybe.
up and then he gets it in the forehead.
Yeah, yep. And it's like they had a clean shot at his head and just this weird little dot. But so yeah, he falls over dead. And and then they get her to an ambulance or something, and then like it kind of cuts to like later that night, and they're like looking through the apartment looking for clues. And Kendall finds the dirty naked lady puzzle.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, this is cool."
Yeah, and they're kind of saying what you said at the beginning of this episode, where you're like, "Where did they get this?"
Yeah,
because they're like, "What is this?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, that fucking. You never know what you'll find in a place like this, right?" He says something like that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Haha, yeah." And then one of them like leans on something and it hits a secret button.
This is what the cop says. He goes, "Oh yeah, we find out secrets like that all the time." Leans on a secret door.
And the dresser
Flips around.
And there is the fucking project that the killer was working on the whole time. You're the one who was watching this for the first time. So where were you at when that happened? Did it surprise you?
So I kept going, where is this thing that everyone tells me is this insane fucking ending? And it can't be ruined for me. When is it going to happen? And I was like, maybe it doesn't happen.
Maybe everybody, the fucked up thing is it's not fucked up. Whoa.
Everybody lied.
Whoa.
But then the body that he's been putting together with all these body parts falls out from behind the door, the secret room, out of the closet, which was really cool. I was like, oh, that's fucking creepy.
But did the actual moment surprise you? Like the action of it swinging out from the secret door?
The action of it didn't surprise me. I was like, oh, that's a really cool ending. But it's not like how y'all are describing it to me. So like, where is this like fucked up? What the fuck is this? And then it happens.
Yeah. Oh, you mean after the body thing? Yeah. So you thought at first that the body thing was the fucked up thing everybody was telling you about.
Yeah. And I was like, that wasn't that fucked up. What the hell?
Yeah. It's like, that's not that big a deal. And we know that he's assembling something because he keeps cutting off these parts. And the movie's called fucking Pieces.
Yeah. I was about to text you and be like, what are y'all fucking talking about?
But yeah, so this body that he's assembled, like, is the head his mom? Because it looked like a really old... The head looked like it had rotted a lot more than everything else. But it was just the first girl's head, wasn't it?
Yeah, he took it's the girl's head from the beginning, not his mom.
Okay. It just looked more rotten. But yeah, but it's, like, gross what he's done here. And, I mean, Buffalo Bill had not even existed in a book yet or in Silence of the Lambs. So I have to feel like maybe they were inspired by this. Because Buffalo Bill making the woman's suit is kind of similar in a way, you know?
Well, then they must have been inspired, I wonder, by...
the next thing?
Well, no, the serial... well, I guess he wasn't really a serial killer. I can't... His name is escaping me right now. But the guy that, like, made the furniture out of, like, his His mom's skid.
Ed Gein.
Ed Gein. Thank you, Edward Gein.
Well, yeah, everybody's, every single fucking thing is. I mean, the thing is like, Leatherface, Hannibal Lecter, and yeah, probably this movie, everybody. It's crazy. But yeah, you're right. This was probably more of a direct thing to that, you know? And in some cases, it's probably just trying to rip off Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Because the slogans for this movie, there's two. Did you see them or did you look up posters or anything?
I didn't. No. You did more research for this one than I did.
Well, because I first watched this 6 years ago during a Joe Bob episode, and so I learned stuff there, and then I bought the movie myself, and so yeah. But anyway, so the poster had two slogans on it, which is always funny. It's like, shouldn't you guys just come up with one good one that people remember? But anyways, so it says, "You don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre," is one of the slogans.
Ugh.
That's at the top of the poster. And then so there's a picture of the killer, whatever, the guy in the, like, not who the killer is, but the guy in the coat with the hat and the chainsaw. And then it says pieces. And then under that it says, "It's exactly what you think it is."
That's the good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. And like in your case, maybe that means the killer, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they're saying that because you're looking at the movie poster and you're like, this looks like a violent, sleazy ass weird film. It's exactly what you think it is. You know, so I don't know, but yeah, so they're clearly inspired by that. But all that stuff, Ed Gein is like it's weird how much of an impact on pop culture this awful person had. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's really terrifying what he did. Can you imagine? Like, not one part of his brain told him that what he was doing was wrong, and he just kept doing it, like making lampshades out of human skin.
And his mom,
chairs,
right?
And
yeah, crazy.
The smell in that house. Oh,
I bet it was bad. It's just funny that people like heard about this, and so many people were like, "This has to be a book or a movie." So we are just broken as a people. But anyway, so yeah. So then, okay, so surely everything's wrapped up now. They found the dead body puzzle lady, and made out of all these pieces. Hey-oh. And they, I should have said hey-oh when you said piece earlier, but I really didn't catch it. Anyways, so then you haven't seen this before, so can you just tell our listeners what happens next?
So I thought the ending was the pieced together parts falling out of the closet. That's fucking creepy. Ew, gross. It like fell out on him or near him. Sorry, it fell out like in front of him. And I was like, oh shit, that's really fucked up. But that's cool that we got to see it. We got to see his like what he was working towards. But then what I was not expecting was a close-up of Kendall's crotch.
Hold on. But can I interrupt you, though?
Yeah.
Because, like, they're leaving, and it's under a blanket. It's under a sheet. Like, our favorite mulleted stretcher guys are presumably going to come and take this dead body away.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Forgot about those guys.
Yeah. Don't just jump straight to the crotch. Oh my God. Because I think people who haven't watched it will be like, holy shit. So anyways, so yeah, it's like the dead bodies, the dead body project lady saw on the stretcher covered up with a sheet. And Kendall and one of the cops are leaving, and it's like, oh man, well that's all done, and that was crazy. Oh man,
yeah, we figured it out. We got the killer. He's dead.
And then he turns to get it. He's like, I gotta get my jacket. That's what it is, right? Yeah, it's not like anything. Yeah. He's just, I gotta get my jacket. And it's so funny because we've all been there. Oh, you're leaving your room. Oh, I forgot my jacket. Okay. So he turns around to get his jacket, and then you got a shot kind of over his shoulder first. The hand of the dead body lady thing under the sheet, the hand like suddenly just rises up out of it. And then now you can talk about your close-up.
Yeah, then there's a close-up of Kendall's crotch where the hand is now grabbing at his, I guess you could call it his
junk.
Well, but don't you call it your piece?
Oh, yeah, some people say that. Yeah, sure.
Don't sometimes they call your junk your piece?
Yeah,
your
good
package?
call. I never thought about that.
And starts to rip it. It's ripping through his jeans, and there's blood, and it just rip. They don't show it ripping the dick off, but that's what I'm assuming.
No, they just show that there's blood.
And I just went, oh!
Yeah. What the fuck?
What's that? How is it alive? How is this body alive?
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, and it's just ripping at his crotch. But then it shows his face, and he's making this insane expression, which, I mean, hey, I've never, thankfully, knock on wood, I've never had my genitals ripped to shreds by a corpse. So I'm sure anybody in that situation would make a weird face. But he makes a really weird face, and it freezes.
Mm-hmm. And that's the end.
And that's the end of the movie. And it's like, oh my God.
I went.
And so we don't know.
So he was able to reanimate. This body is like reanimate.
Yeah.
Like,
what
is happening? So then
yeah.
I got it. I got why the end of this movie is fucking nuts. Because what the fuck? What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. Then it becomes quite obvious what everybody's talking about. Like, oh, that's the crazy thing. Yes.
You know what it reminded me of?
Huh.
It reminded me of the end of Carrie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which always used to fucking freak me out. I used to never want to see the end of that movie because it fucking scared the shit out of me with like the hand popping out of the grave. Fuck. And I always knew it was coming. And it wasn't until I trained my eyes to look at the ground, because then you can kind of start to see the hand coming up a little bit before it like jumps out.
Mm-hmm.
Now it doesn't freak me out anymore. But that's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit.
Yeah, because it's completely out of left field. And even someone who read the book Carrie before the movie, like me, was surprised because that's not in the book at all.
Yeah.
A lot of the Freddy movies end with like, oh no, but they're still in a dream and he's going to kill him or something. Or the Jason movies end with, oh, Jason's still there. You know, so it's a typical horror thing. But this one, like, those have a precedent and like it makes sense. Like, oh, we've seen this killer the whole time and he's back. Shit. This is like, what?
Wait, what the fuck? Like, there hasn't been any experimentation.
Yeah. What the fuck are we talking about?
On anything? Not on any animals. There's no animals in this movie.
Right.
There's no laboratory scenes. Like,
no, so it's just suddenly it happens. Yeah, it's like it just but here we are talking about this when we also have been saying like we don't need backstory, right? But there's zero logic behind this, and that's why we're so confused, I think. But but this is what people talk about when they talk about this movie is this, because it's like what you know, like.
I wonder if they were trying to think of something just as fucking insane and bananas as like at the end of Sleepaway Camp, of like what is just so fucking bizarre that like people are going to be like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Or just something as crazy as the beginning of this movie. They're like, how do we bookend this with total insanity? You know?
And and when we were talking about earlier about like kind of how and where my mind goes after watching movies, and my brain, I was going, the women, like collectively, their like spirit has come back to like get revenge on one of the men. So it's like, I'm going to take your fucking piece, bitch. You took all of our pieces. I'm going to take your fucking piece. You fucking dick. I'm going to take your dick.
That makes sense. It's just as good of an explanation as anything else.
That's what I think.
Like, fine. I mean, sure, you could say it was fucking Frodo. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But no, yours, it makes sense. And thematically, yeah. And, you know, that's, again, this guy was from Europe. He wasn't from America. Hadn't even been here. And a lot of European films don't put reality on a pedestal the way American movies do. And they can do something more weird and just more artful and something that is not grounded and just kind of happens. And it's a little more acceptable over there, I think. So I think that's part of it too. It's like, well, this is it's maybe even just this. It could just be a fucking nightmare the kid's having. Who knows? But it's just a wild way to end this movie.
I wonder if it just got written in last minute. They were like, you know what? We need one more thing. You know what we could do? She could grab his dick off.
I don't think it even got written.
Yeah.
I don't think there was writing involved. I think they're shooting it and they're just like, hey, let's have this happen at the end. They're like, let's do it. You know?
Oh man, yeah, that got me. I was not expecting that at all.
But I think they just fucking did it.
Holy shit.
But yeah, that's Pieces, and Jesus, maybe they're trying to set up a sequel. I don't know, but
What? I mean, that was a good setup for a sequel, I thought.
yeah, Pieces. Yeah, okay. So we did this on The Burning, and maybe we should do it every time. So we didn't for the other movies, but like a sequel to Pieces. Well, what are we thinking? So would the killer be this now revived corpse lady? I think that'd be too obvious. You have the killer be Kendall, who's going after people because he's real mad about his dick.
I also like that people were leaving comments about what their name for the sequel to Burning would be. Those were really funny.
I didn't see all those. What were some good ones?
Burnt. The Burning. Burnt.
That'd be good. What about The Weekend at Burning? Actually, that would work for this because it's about a reanimated corpse. Pieces 2, Weekend at Bernie's 3. Oh, man.
Well, okay. So if there was my sequel for Pieces, would it be Pieces 2? Pieces, more Pieces? Lost? Would this be Jigsaw? Would this just be like the Jigsaw would be?
I want to play a game.
Right.
You spent your whole life holding a cigar in your mouth and never lit it. And so now you must pay for your sins.
It could be a Saw movie, and then the whole concept would be Jigsaw has kidnapped a bunch of people and put them in different rooms, and you have to take parts of their bodies to finish a puzzle. And if you don't, then you die.
Well, we said a few episodes ago, I mentioned that I like how in the first Saw movie, the cops don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And these cops sure as hell wouldn't figure it out because they're terrible at their job. So,
yeah.
Anyways, but that's Pieces. We did it. We talked about Pieces.
Yay.
So every episode before this, I've had to put in a note afterwards about following us and stuff. So why don't you do it? You want to do it this time? You can say thank you for listening and tell about socials and stuff, the website and all that.
Well, thank you so much. Sorry, I was about to sneeze.
I thought you started doing an accent. I'm like, really? Why? What?
Yeah, and because I was also about to sneeze. Okay, I'm not.
So that was not you doing a voice. That was you trying not to sneeze.
I was going.
Okay, but so I was worried. I thought why is she doing a voice now?
Well, you did a voice at the beginning.
I know, but I do voices. I'm stupid and silly. You've never done that. It's so fun.
I can't do voices? The hell?
No, of course you can. Of course you can. But I would be very surprised if you did something at the ending when all you're going to do is say what our website is. We talk about one of the craziest film endings of all time. You're like, no, I'm going to wait and be silly till I'm just telling people how to follow us. Oh my God.
Fucking weird. What a weirdo.
God, dude.
Thank you for listening to us talk about the movie Pieces. If you would like to follow us on social media, you can follow us at Earn Full of Popcorn. That's URNFULLA Popcorn. You can find us on Instagram. You can also go to our website, which is earnfullofpopcorn.com.
Yeah. So Shandy's going to make a poll for this episode. Tell us what from Pieces would make a good t-shirt.
I know what I'd want.
What would you want?
A pair of loafers with a chainsaw behind it.
That's good.
And blood dripping off the loafers.
I would just want a picture of the guy's face frozen at the end after he had his dick ripped to shreds. He's making just the best face. So, yeah. But you can also look us up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts.
Yeah, you can do that too. You just said it, so you might as well just keep it in.
Oh, were you going to say it?
No, I forgot to say it.
Huh?
I forgot to say it.
Huh?